Anxiety.
Yeah, he's
The anxious boy. So here, we actually have another dog just like him right now.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, he's a little guy. He's in a kennel over there. He's on like a bunch of drugs and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I remember there was a reactivity. Then we had when you guys were like going in the back and he was inside the home or something like that. Is that correct?
Still primary thing with him, yeah. It's
Okay.
like,
The attachment
we get
stuff.
as specific as possible. It's like backyard behavior. You know what I mean? We got dogs on both sides now.
sure,
Neighbors that we're
fence
friends
activity.
with, and it's just like
Bad.
absolute mayhem when you hear something out there, especially if it's the dog.
Okay.
So that is definitely priority number one, is trying to just temper that.
So what we're going to do today then is we're going to go over we have to go over how the heel command.
Of course.
That's what's going to set the foundation. However, you can start addressing the defense reactivity as soon as today.
Okay.
If you feel like it's not affecting them,
Yeah.
then I'd hold off a bit
Okay.
and just kind of avoid the situation if possible.
Okay.
Until we get the second class in, and
Okay.
then I can kind of get a better feel of what he's about.
Okay.
Because we did a bit of e-collar with him here.
Yeah, I remember
when I
you
spoken
were saying,
to
yeah.
you. And he is a solid dog, right? So
Yeah.
he's not big, but physically, resilience-wise, he's
Yeah,
pretty
oh
tough.
sure,
Yeah.
high pain tolerance.
And then
yeah.
you have to think also about just the emotional stress, like if he's constantly under anxiety.
Yeah.
Those two things make for a very, just a tough
train.
dog.
Yeah,
But
for
today, for us, because we were just like correcting him and he would whine in the kennel.
Yeah.
We weren't doing any formal stuff. So
Right,
they go
sure.
hand in hand.
Sure.
So ideally, once we start the formal stuff, like we have another dog that comes who's anxious as well. She was
Okay.
kept in the garage for like the first 3 years of her life. Never saw the world outside of that.
Wow.
So then she got rescued, and then she comes to our daycare. She was the same thing as this guy.
Yeah.
But then once the owner started the formal training, those two things hand in hand
Sure.
work really well.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's the goal here.
Gotcha.
You have your remote, correct?
I do.
So here, go ahead and turn that on. I know this is on. I saw the light going. There you go. And then what's it currently set at?
36.
36? Let's go down to 15. That's typically where dogs begin to feel it, and he might be a bit more sensitive just because he's, for the most part blind.
Yep.
So I'm going to just look at Doc here. When I say to press tap, you're going to just tap that bumpy button on the side. Tap, tap, tap. No response. Let's go ahead and go to 20.
I did it online. So it's pretty
Yeah,
funny.
no,
I saw your video and I was like, oh yeah, wait.
Yeah. Tap, tap, tap. So no response. 25. A little bit of response.
Yeah, where you going?
Yeah. And
So like 22, you think?
25? If you land 24, 26, it's fine. Just general range. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna try 28. So you can see him backing off, right?
Yeah.
So he's definitely feeling it. Yep. 31. So what I'm looking for here is a bit more urgency.
Okay.
You know he feels it.
Right.
Okay. Yes. That's better. Okay, we're gonna start with that. Okay. So this exercise is very simple, and I'm gonna demonstrate it to you here.
Okay.
So we'll be working this way. Next slide here is I teach traditionally on the left. Do you have a preference?
I do. I'm always right, but I'm
Always right. Okay. Now, are you right-handed?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're right-handed, left is easier.
So you're doing with the remote with your right hand?
I do remote right hand and then leash left hand yellow. So then what we're going to do here is I'm going to coach you through this. Okay. Is whenever Doc passes you,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you turn. When you hear me say turn, you're going to 180 the other way. Okay. So if I say turn, you're just going to do this. Okay. Now when you're doing this, I'm also going to be telling you to tap. When I say tap, let's press that button.
Sure.
So if I say tap, 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 that will be your rhythm. If I say tap, 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 that will be your rhythm. Okay? So when he gets ahead of you and you turn, we're also going tap, 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 until Doc comes to your side. Okay? And you'll hear me say like good or something, Mark, like that's what I wanted.
Okay.
That's more so for you than it is for the dog.
Okay.
Okay? So then he's going to pass you again, turn, tap, tap, tap. We're going to just keep repeating this process. Okay? Now as you do this, he may pull towards your right, one, because he's used to it,
Yeah.
or two, he's thinking this side isn't good, let me come over here.
Okay.
If that happens, you're going to keep going, you're going to tap, and you're going to pull to your left, but pull just enough to guide him. Don't like drag him over.
Gotcha.
Okay, because you want him to make the decision to move to your left side. Okay. Whenever you're doing those turns, people tend to stop. You want to just keep it as fluid as possible,
Okay.
and go the immediate other way.
Right, sharp turn. I saw this on video.
Sure, yeah.
Sharp turn, right turn. Got it.
So I'm going to coach you that. We're going to give some slack here because we want Doc to have the capacity to make mistakes. We're going to give him a little bit of slack. A little bit more. Right there. That's good. Okay. And when I walk forward, tap, tap, keep forward, tap, tap. Good. Turn, tap, tap. Pull to your, there he goes. Good. Keep forward, tap, tap, forward. Good turn. Tap, tap. Good. Relax that arm. There you go. Good. Keep going. Go ahead and slow turn. Turn, tap, tap forward. Pull to your left, tap. Good. Keep forward. Good. Go ahead and slow turn. Tap, tap, and pick up your pace. Forward, tap, 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 tap. Oh, you got a new leash, huh? Yes. Tap. Good. Go ahead and relax that arm. Go ahead and slow turn. Good. And go ahead and relax. Good. And then we had the leash reactivity, correct? Like when you see.
Terrible, though.
Not okay. Just like sometimes.
Towards.
Turn. Tap. 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 Yep. Keep forward. Tap. Good. Tap, tap, keep forward, tap. Go ahead and pull up a little bit. Tap, tap. There he goes. Good. Yep, keep forward. Yep. Good. Go ahead and take up a little bit of slack. That's good. Turn. Tap, tap. Good. Relax that arm. Good. So you want to keep your arm to your side as much as you can. Yeah. Because we want the remote to do to make Doc make the decision to change his behavior. Okay. Go ahead and relax that arm. Turn, tap, tap. Good. Keep forward, tap, tap, tap. Go ahead and, whenever you see him biting on the leash like that, you're going to pull up and tap as you walk.
Stop walking?
No, you're going to keep walking, and as you're walking, you pull up and tap until he stops. Okay? Go ahead and slow turn. Go ahead and relax that leash. Good. Turn, tap. Tap, yep, good. Keep forward, good. Go ahead and take up some slack there. Good. Go ahead and slow turn. Good. Nothing here because he turned with you. Now I'm going to have you slow walk, but keep walking, okay? Good, a little bit slower. And stop. Very good. Okay, so what we're doing here is teaching Doc a couple of things. One of them is to be mindful of his handler, aka you. Okay. Most dogs aren't mindful of their handlers. They're usually, distracted by what's going on in the world, and that's what leads to, reactivity, whether it be random or consistent. The other thing we're doing here is we're teaching Doc how pressure turns on and how it turns off. Okay. Pressure being default. Okay. So there's different types of pressure. You drive right. You've been on the expressway? Sure. Have you ever had someone be real close to your right? And it makes you feel a certain way. Yeah, right. That's pressure. Okay. Growing up, we had peer pressure. Yeah. Right? So we have e-collar pressure, we have leash pressure, we have prong pressure, we have spatial pressure, we have someone's in your face, peer pressure, right? It's uncomfortable feelings that cause you to make a decision, right? So what we're doing here, what we're doing is we're teaching Doc that he can, when he feels pressure, that he can make decisions to turn the pressure off. Right. So it's not just some random thing. Right. Because that was the issue that we have, is that if he's not trained on it, sure he can stop and he can but it's not just random. Right. This now, because one, is going to be consistent, so it's something that he's going to be exposed to regularly when you walk him. Yeah. But two, it's starting like, oh, this thing isn't constant random thing.
Right.
There's actually communication behind it.
Right.
So here, whenever he passed you, what we were doing is we were going like the opposite way. For back, he feels the knee collar, he doesn't like it, and then he turns around, and I'd say he sees going the other way, but he sees him going the other way. He sees yeah, he sees something, right? And he's like, oh, dad's going that way.
Yeah.
He catches up, it disappears.
Okay.
Then he passes again. It happens again.
Okay.
Now dad's going that way.
Right.
He catches up, it disappears.
Gotcha.
Okay? So it's what I call a correct and redirect.
Okay.
Don't go that way because I'm going this way.
Right.
Okay? Most people, when their dog is pulling, tend to go like no and then yank them.
Yeah.
Or pull them back.
Sure.
Or they'll, even if they're using a remote, they'll, shock the dog.
Yeah.
And the dog comes back. Right?
Right.
But what happens is, it's creating a lot of frustration because the dog will jump back and look at you and then go, oh, is that forward?
Right.
Because you're going the same way.
Right.
There's nothing to tell like, like I said, don't go that way, we're going this way.
Right.
That's very clear to them. So when they look at you, they cannot decipher that that was because they were getting ahead.
Right.
Okay, because that's not wrong to them.
Right.
He's not meant to be on a leash.
Right.
He's on a leash because law require it and the safety and all that stuff, right? So here, we want to teach him in a manner that he understands.
Yeah.
And he's not reading this as punishment. Okay? That's a lot of people think it's punishment. I'm like, no. Like every dog is different. Right now you're at 31. 31. I have dogs that are 95. Okay? But they're very tough.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not that we went to 95 just to go to 95.
Sure.
We went at 10, 15, 20, 25. Sure. And until we hit 95, the dog didn't listen.
Right.
So we didn't pick that number.
Sure.
Right? And then some dogs might be 95, but then as the person progresses, they go down to 55.
Right.
Because now the dog goes, oh, if I'm just compliant, I will get some power. Right?
Right.
So the way you layer in the remote is how the dog perceives it.
Right.
So most people, if you do the zap, no type of approach, in my opinion, that's more of the punishment.
Yeah.
Because it's just like say it's a negative, but there's no do this instead.
No, yeah, I mean, I think messages are not clear, and then it just becomes me being angry.
Yeah,
it's really here to avoid, right?
And
It's
then
like
you got
just
the
the
whole
frustration.
of things. And I have to correct many dogs in my career very harshly with people. Okay? Very harshly. Like 127 continuous, max that.
Wow.
Don't do that, right? But my energy is neutral.
Right.
So what creates the issues with dogs is the emotion, the people behind it.
Yeah.
The anger, the yelling, the forcefulness, all that stuff. And with this, I go, if you don't like something, right off the bat, just correct it.
Yeah.
And it makes life so much easier. But people tend to give dogs windows,
Right.
hoping that the dog will choose the right thing.
Right.
I'm like, dogs don't have right or wrong.
Right.
He's just like, I'm a dog and this is what I do.
Yeah.
And those things that they do typically aren't to our liking, right? So like, let's say fence activity.
Yeah.
He's just being territorial.
Right.
That's normal.
Right.
Right? So I don't like it either,
Right.
but people are hoping, like, the dog, like, well, the dog is a good dog. They're not making me a good dog. Like, here's your dog. Yeah, so he's gonna do the distinction with him, which is, hey, this is our property, and I'm gonna let you know when I'm here. Okay? So what we're doing again is just teaching the foundation of e-collar. You see how he's a bit more still? And earlier, he was more excited, stimulated, kind of like wandering. Is here, and like this little movement like that. Right, moving a moment. Good. So what you did right there is you just said, I disagree with you wandering right now.
Right.
Okay, now I'm not going to care about exact positioning,
Okay.
but I just care about you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need the heel exercise, but right now we tapped him, he backed into you, and he stopped this.
Right.
Right? So when you're stationary, he should be giving off the same energy as you.
Okay.
Okay, so a lot of people, when they stop, this is going on, right? Your dog's all over the place.
Right.
Nonsense. So as you progress with the heel, you will naturally start to see him just start to opt for more of this kind of behavior,
Yeah.
or passiveness.
Yeah.
See how you just give it into you, right? Like, and he's like, chill.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Right.
It shouldn't be on edge.
Right.
So when you get that non-direction and that's all the dog does, that becomes who the dog is.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
Your dog becomes what your dog will practice.
Sure.
Just like kids. You let kids do whatever they want. You don't give them rules or boundaries. You get a kid that has no rules or boundaries, and he's going to be a jackass when they grow up. Okay? So same thing for dogs. We're just putting some structure in the brain. A dog structure is different from humans. Dogs bite each other.
Right.
You know, so if he didn't like a dog approaching him here and he hit or bit at him, we wouldn't say he's aggressive. We would say he didn't like the dog's energy.
Yeah.
Maybe the dog had a mountain and was like setting a boundary, like, hey, you don't
Sure.
around me, right?
Sure.
That's normal.
Right.
But unfortunately, especially because it's breed,
Yeah.
people just go like, oh, that's an aggressive dog. And not
Right.
You have to read more into it.
Sure.
Okay? Questions so far?
Yeah. Nope.
So we're going to do a bit more. He progressed pretty quick there when we started walking at your side. So we're going to do a bit more of this, and I'm going to explain the whole reasoning why we're going to do this, and then for your homework and stuff, how you're going to be applying it, and then how this applies to your venture activity. Okay. So go ahead and instead of going straight forward, have you just turn off to your right. Yeah. Yep. And we can dip them down. Let's bring them down to you're at 31.
Yep.
Let's go down to 22. Okay, and then go forward, and then slow turn towards me. You're good. Tap forward, tap, 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 tap. Keep moving. Tap, tap, tap. Let's go up to 26. See how he kind of blew that off?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So 26?
Yep. Tap, 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 tap. Back to 31. Now he may have shifted the collar. Good. Yep, going to shorten. Now forward. Come around. There you go. Good. And then relax that arm. Good. Turn. Tap. 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 Good. Going slow to slow turn. Good. Tap. 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 Good. Going to keep going forward here. Going to start to walk slow. I'm going to do a slow turn. Good. See how he turns with you? Good. Tap forward. Tap. Tap. That's because he got distracted by the wall there, admiring the art. Good. Slow to slow turn. Good turn. Tap. Tap. Right there. Good. Tap. Going to slow walk, and then slow to a stop here. Good. So, the first time you walk by those steps, you're at 22.
Yeah.
Tip. Right. Good. Good. And we're going to see what he does here. That's fine. Tip. Good. Good. That's fine. Good. I'm gonna accept that for now. The laying down. As we go along, we're going to be more strict. But the first time you went by those stairs at 22, completely bypassed it. Didn't care. Went to 26. Didn't care. Back to 31 on that first hit. Boom. Just came back to your leg. So when you're walking with Doc, it should never feel like an argument. Okay? It should be that easy. It should be that clear. Like, man, I tapped that button once. Just boom. Fixed it right away. That means you're at the appropriate working number. Okay? So in the video, I think I talked about 3 levels, connection, perception, and working.
Yeah.
You always want that working number, okay, which is the highest of all the 3.
Okay.
So the working number is what's going to be effective in the environment that you're in. So if we were at Oz Park and it was super busy, you could be at 87 and be getting that response, right? So 87 technically would garner a big response, right, in an environment like this, because it's too much power for a very low stimulus environment. So here we're at 31. So you're just kind of doing math and balancing your level according to his mental stimulation, okay? So you may have seen a movie where like someone is like distracted by something and then someone's trying to talk to them. So into that, and then the person shakes them, and they were like, oh, right? So the sound they weren't receiving with the moment someone touched them, they're like, oh, no. It's the same thing for dogs, okay? And if anything, dogs are more inclined to go towards the touch than the sound. They don't talk to each other, like humans, right? So let's say Doc were to be, you know, on a walk, and you see him staring down like a squirrel or something, and you know he's going to chase after it or whatever. Right there, I start promoting and playing with that number, and you did 2 taps. One, he was looking at the tree grooming. You go over here, he looked again, you tapped, then he looked at you, then he laid down.
Yeah.
So each time you dial him down even more. Okay, so you're like, don't worry about Bree sweeping over there. You're with me right now. Okay. Now he's still got some tension because he's facing that way.
Right.
But he's laying down. Right. So he's like half and half. But now like I'm gonna accept this for now because it's just day one.
Yeah.
But now you're putting rules to things, and you can see like see how he starts to sniff around and stuff.
Yeah.
Anxious, overstimulated dogs have a really hard time shutting down.
Yeah.
Okay. They have a hard time self-regulating.
Sure.
And you have to help them regulate. And over the course of time and practice, you know, what's the anxiety and overstimulation kind of fuel into each other.
Right.
So if you start to remove that overstimulation and say like, look, buddy, like a lot of stuff isn't like any of your business.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay, so I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
There's less to fuel anxiety.
Okay.
And then we should start to see that as well.
Okay.
So all these things work together.
Gotcha.
The baseline of that back and forth is the most important part of your program. Right. That's why we always start with the heal first.
Right.
Heal fixes 70 to 80% of problems. Okay. Interesting. I've had some dogs come in and they look, Kevin. Yep. 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 So he's still standing,
Yeah.
but he's more present with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Oh, I had a dog come in yesterday who's been a couple weeks.
Okay.
And yeah. Good tip. And then yeah, almost there. Yeah. Yeah. And whenever you see him backing away, that's him disengaging from what's on his mind. You're at 31, let's go to 34. Yeah. There. Now, I'm not looking for, this isn't a sit or a down.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Yep. 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 Well, stop. What I'm going to do here is go to short release. And then I'm having shorter to there. Okay. Now lightly pull on. Yep. 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 And do your best to try to keep up on that left side. Yep. 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 And then, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and take a step back. So next to good. We had a dog come in yesterday for second class. Bit a couple people. And I was making contact with him, and the lady thought she was going to bite me. Yeah. He didn't. Okay. Because he was overloaded with stress. Okay. Right. He was overloaded with stress that kept stacking, and then when someone would come into his face, it went even further. Okay. So we did this exercise to de-stress him. Okay. And eventually, so on the second class, I hit him up with stuff, and I went on my sleeve to touch him, and she's like, he's gonna bite you. And he didn't. No. Like, he didn't even get like mad or anything. And she's like, what the hell? I'm like, because he was so stressed, you know, environmental things that are going on, and then you take a person a person coming into his personal space, they become yours. And then you work out that. So that's what we're looking to do here. Okay. Now you see how he starts to cry and whine, and now we're starting to get some yanking and shaking. So what's happening here is he's conflicted. You know what he's conflicted by? Yeah, so his brain wants to move. His brain is wanting to do this. All of this, right? And you're going, you have to be right next to me. Okay? So this isn't a down, this isn't a sit. This is what I call a relaxed state. That's what you're trying to create, relaxation. Okay? But now that he's conflicted, because the brain is going, I need to move, because that's anxiety likes to move,
Yeah.
And you're saying, no, you just got to chill right here, and you have a consequence.
Right.
The brain goes into conflict and goes, I want to move, but I don't really do move.
Right.
I'm going to get promoted.
Sure.
Okay. Then we got the crying. That was the frustration coming out. I was like, I need to do something to let go of this emotion.
Right.
That's normal. Okay. So in the beginning, and then we start getting the shaking. See that?
Yep.
That shaking is what we call detoxing, letting out all that anxious, negative energy. Okay. So people don't. They try to do this as nicely as possible with dogs, and I understand why they're doing it, but for dogs, it's not how we do it. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Short a little bit. Yeah. I was going to bump it to the 41. And then short release, coming back to the left. Yep. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. That's fine right there. And then relax. Good. Okay. So when I accept it here, even though he's on your left, he place himself between your legs, right? Which is fine. But he just a more relaxed state, right? So I don't want you to see this as an obedient sit or down. So if someone could lower your house,
no, I get what you mean.
You know, you're like, hey, you know, make yourself comfortable.
Yeah.
Most people kind of see it, right? So it's the same thing here.
Right.
So he should not be moving. He shouldn't be pulling, or you know, like something happened over here that he just like, I'm gonna go check it out, right? And you go, don't worry about that. Okay. So you're not allowing the brain to be impulsive. Okay? That's another part of just getting him to chill out. The impulsiveness falls into line with the Pittie activity. Even though for him it's instinctual, I see a dog on the other side of the fence and he goes up and knows my property. Yeah. It's he goes out, dog, charge. Right. That's the impulsive behavior for sure. So here, you have to be consistent across the board. You know, you can't be, I let my dog do whatever I want, put whatever he wants on the walk, but then I expect him to behave in the yard. Sure. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so like with kids, I have a lot of clients that are teachers, and the kids are really misbehaved nowadays. Because parents are just cleaning at home. So since they don't behave at home, they don't behave at school. Okay, so same kind of concept here. Do you have questions so far?
No. It makes sense.
So we're going to do a bit more of this back and forth stuff. Okay. I'm going to have you, I'm not going to say anything this time around. Whenever for you, your visual is Doc's right shoulder parallel to your left leg. Okay? So if you're walking with Doc and you see him past that leg, even if it's just an inch, I want you to just 180 and start tapping, having to do. Sure. But I have to do it on your own because when you walk him now, that's what you want to start practicing. Okay? So I do 80% work and 20% play. Okay. So if I go for an hour-long walk, 45 minutes, 50 minutes would be structured. You're back inside, you're sniffing fully when it's nonsense. Then I might stop and give them a 10-minute break where they're clean, moving, running around, pulling, or smoking a cigarette out there. And then once we're back into the heel, boom, it's back into discipline mode. Okay.
So how does he get that? Like, is there a command that says, okay, it's time you can do your business?
Yeah, so the command I use for the release is break. Okay. Right, so let's say we're not using the heel word. Okay. So for the human, this is super common, like, Jesse, how does a dog know it should be walking beside you? Like a cat. Right. Like, I didn't say anything, I know, but what have you been doing for the first, hour? Right. Tapping and turning. Right. So your dog is going to just think, this is what I do. Right. So we don't need the word there. But we definitely need a word to let them know that his job is done. Okay. So I use the word break. So like, let's say you're walking with Doc, you're like, man, Doc, this is good. I'm going to have you have a potty break right here at this part. Yeah. You would approach the grass. If Doc were to forge to the grass without permission, you want to turn tap, right back, and then you try again. Okay. And then he stops with you. We wait a moment. Doc, break. And then at that moment, you can pull your bit, Doc block. And then once you're ready to go, I start walking, tap, tap, tap. He comes back to my leg, and then we start to walk again. And so he doesn't need the word. When he feels the tap, his instinct is most likely to be, last time we did this, I walked next to Dad's left leg, Eric went away. Okay?
And they have a good memory like that, right? Like the memory is...
Oh, yeah. So I had dogs that I trained, and then, for rescue, and they don't get adopted for a year. And then I come in for a training session with the family. 15 minutes before my back. perfect, they haven't practiced for a year, but they retain a ton of different related product. So yeah, by the second class is when we start to apply the word heal, but I don't do that anymore. I don't do the heal in the first class anymore, because what I found people would do is they would rely on the word and not the remote. And we want to remote to move forward. The more of this he gets, the better he gets faster. People tend to wait for the dog to be after or worse, like, oh, now he's, barking along the fence. Let me look at my collar and then remote and then correct him. Like this is a lot of stuff that you're working on all at once. And ideally, you don't need to see that. Like the behavior, like the attachment when you walk outside and stuff like that. Okay? But it starts to be consistent across the board. Otherwise, you're going to be struggling and you're going to find you make steps forward and then steps back. Okay? So then earlier you went to 41, was it?
Now we're 41.
41, right? And since you did 41, he's actually been pretty chill the entire time on your feet. But 31 wasn't working for whatever triggered him that moment. Okay? So that's how you'll know that you're at the right level, is because right when you correct them, like I said, it should never feel like an argument. It should always be a very quick response. And I can tell by that, and then by what comes afterwards. Okay, so if he was still pulling and stuff, that would tell me whatever we were doing was too low and not coming to the distraction. Okay? So I'm having that back and forth here. This one's going to be all you. Oh, and then one more thing. So go ahead and go next to you there. For your visual, when Doc's next to you, go to relax your arm. Go ahead and give maybe 4 inches of slack here. That's good. Is come to your left hip. Then you want to step over a little bit. Your neck down. Next to you, good. Now relax your leash. Bring it inside. Is go to the slack there. Is the if you look at the bottom of the leash for hands, it is by his armpit level, like this. That's at the perfect level. Because if you want to slack to get ahead of you, so not go like that.
So that's 41.
That's okay. So you see how quick that affected him? Right? And that whine is not always discomfort. Okay? People usually think my dog vocalizes that they're hurt. No. It can be frustration because brain trigger and erratic systems don't do that because he used to do it. Right? No one's ever told him, yeah. Now wait a moment. There, come here. There. And this here, biting the leash is redirecting frustration. That's normal. Okay. So that's why if he starts to bite the leash and you're walking, you pull off and you tap because it's hard for a dog to bite and pull and walk at the same time. Okay? And then I pull straight up so the mouth like this as I'm tapping, and as soon as he lets it go, you relax everything. So the relaxation is telling him you did what I wanted, which was you stopped biting at the leash. Okay? And I don't use words because I want him to learn through the pressure. Okay? Words mean stuff to us. He doesn't know what they mean. Okay? He'll never know what he'll mean, or sit, or stay, or down. He just associates what they mean. So he's like, every time I hear heel, I'm supposed to walk over here. Right? Every time you're down, I'm supposed to do this. That's how his brain works. He doesn't know that heel means to walk at my hand on the left side, with my right shoulder to his left leg. Exactly. And I think a lot of people think that their dogs do. And no, it's all about association. Okay? So your visual for Doc here is his right shoulder to that left leg. Okay? So go ahead and move forward. Right, good job. Right, good. Tap, yep, tap, good. Good. Right, good job. Tap, tap, yep, good. Good. You see where you thought about biting with the leash, right?
Stop real fast, yep.
Right, good. Good, go ahead and get ready to come to a stop. And what's your number at currently?
38.
Okay, so tap. Good. So at the end here, if you come to a stop, so he was doing good on the walking and stuff. Tap. 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 That's just the brain being frustrated, trying to think, what do I do? Okay. So all those look pretty good. One thing I think you might have an issue with, that most people do, is being used to using your left arm to control. If you ever feel yourself pulling back, hold your left. There you go. There you go. Now relax. If you ever find yourself doing this, that's actually time where you should be doing this.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I'm right, negating the...
Correct, because, so leash, back, when you pull back on the dog, you're actually telling them to pull more forward. Okay, so it's called opposition reflex. When a dog feels tension, they want to go against it.
Right.
So if you pull right, they want to go left, you pull left, they pull right, you pull back, they pull forward, they pull back. Okay, everything's opposite. So what we're teaching them is to actually respond to pressure.
Right.
So when you're walking with him, that's why I said if he goes to your right and you pull to your left, don't try to overpower him. Use the remote to make him pop left. Because the harder you pull left, you're going to feel him opposing you. Okay. So then when you're walking, and because most people think, oh, my dog is walking better, and they're not pulling as much, and I go, yeah, I'm like, but heel's not about how much your dog is pulling. Heel is a very strict command. Right shoulder to left leg. It looks a very specific way. There is no gray area, and that's what people tend to do. Like, so they're so used to their dog pulling and forging ahead of them, and then they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Short a little bit, yeah. Right, yeah. See what he does. Very well. Relax. Chin. Yeah. So then here, that's the impulsion. There you go, now you can back out. But you see, each time you tap him, when he's backing off how he's vocalizing, that's frustration. Okay. People would interpret that as, oh, my dog is physical discomfort. No. That's just the brain. But then as soon as he backs off, you lay off the pressure, he's now going down and, going into a more relaxed state. Sure. You still see the interest, but much better. Okay. So whenever you're with Doc, you're going for a walk. While you can, because obviously it's going to snow and it's going to get harder to do this, is when you come to a stop, if it seems like he's still escalated, try to de-escalate him. Okay. It may be more difficult according to the environment. If you're outside and walking dogs and stuff, that's going to be harder. And don't always think that it's just, jumping up and I go up gradually, 30, 34, 48, 42 as a frame of reference. So for a guy like him, I go in jumps of 3 to 5, because if you go in jumps of 1, it's going to take you forever. Okay, so you're trying to get to the answer of what do you need right now in order to disengage from what's going on in the environment, which is like relax. Okay. After you disengage them, if you end up switching the environment where it gets more calm, you can always go down. Okay. When you practice with him, what I suggest is when you go for your walks, is when you go outside, stop and give him a potty break first. Don't do any of this. Okay. Have her set up, have everything turned on. You go outside, let him pee, get that out the way. Okay. Then at 15, find your working number. Okay. Let's say it's 30. Then you start your walk. If you find yourself turning non-stop and it doesn't feel like it's getting better, you're probably too low. Bump that number. Okay. So I have my 3 tap or 3 correction rule. So earlier, let's say he's pulling like this, right? And I go tap, 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 nothing, bump it, tap, 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 nothing, bump it. And keep repeating. That's what we did to find his number earlier. I had you tap 3 times and I said bump it. So then I have a nice little formula there. And then let's say you hit 35, and all of a sudden you see him move, and he's like, what's going on? I would say that's my working number. Then we get started. Now, when you're walking with Doc here, as long as he's walking beside you, there's no need to turn, okay?
Right.
You just keep
Okay.
going straight. You're
Got it.
only turning like this when he passes you, okay? Always tapping when you do so.
Okay.
So then I have my 3 correction rule. So if I'm at 35, I will turn, tap, tip, 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 almost. Oh, there it is. Tip, tip, tip. Right there. And see, when he backs out how he vocalizes, and then he chills out. Is I have my 3 correction rule. So if it's turn, tap, and it keeps forging ahead, then I bump it. Then I go to 40. Turn, tap, 44. And what you'll find is once you hit the appropriate number, whether it's 54 or 32, whatever, after you correct them, he's going to lock right into your leg, and then it's going to be like, man, I only have to correct him like twice in the walk.
Yeah.
Then I look at the number, 52. Okay? But each walk this week, I'm going to have you start at 15 and work your way up.
Okay.
If every walk you end up at like 50, 55, what does that tell us? 50, 55, right? So then, starting the second week, then I go, okay, cool. What was your range typically? And you'll say, oh, between 45 to 55. Then I'll say, okay, when you start your walk, start at 50 now.
Okay.
So this way, you're not starting with a bunch of nonsense. What happens is the dog will play with that back and forth until you hit the appropriate number. Okay. So when it comes to the obedience, in most cases, once we've taught the behavior, it's very easy to just go outside and apply this.
Yeah.
Because it's just what number is going to make the dog be compliant.
Right.
That's all it comes down to.
Okay.
What holds people back is they feel bad and they don't like going up to the collar. Okay? Like, let's say it was 12 here, they leave thinking 12 is the magic number. I'm like, no, because they know, you're rational. 12 out of 127 is only 10% of the power.
I can imagine when it goes out back, it's going to be about
It may be about
75%.
there, you know, and it might be like, you might be surprised, it actually might be pretty low.
Okay.
You know, so when it comes, yeah, hold right there, see what he does. So whenever you see him back away, that's what we call disengaging. Okay. So engagement would be what's this?
Yeah.
Disengagement would be want nothing to do with it. So once I see that back away, you know, I can either lay off the tower and to see if he'll relax on his own, or I can give another tap, like here. There you go, to see what does it do next. And you can see how he backed up, but he keeps sniffing the air, right? So there's still a little bit of engagement. There's some conflict here because he doesn't know what to do. Tip, 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 tip. Right, there's the back away. There it is. Like that. Okay. And the reason why we're putting space between the taps is when you give that hit, right? So let's say I want Doc here to chill out, and he's engaged, and you tap, right? He backs away, and then he ends here, but he's still standing, he's still engaged. Tap. He comes over here. Tap. Right? Is tap. Wait a moment. Right? So that's his end result. Okay. And we watch. What's the next decision? Right? See how he's still engaged? Tap. See he turns.
Right.
And he engages over here.
To be on.
Yeah. So you're tapping and allowing him to make a decision and seeing where does that decision end. Okay. So now he backed off into that sit. So you're allowing the brain time to give a response, and then if it's not what you're wanting, then I keep getting
Sure.
Okay. So let's say barking at the fence. Let's say it's easy or easier. He's like, you know, he's charging the fence, and you're at 35, and you go tap, and he backs off.
Yeah.
And he starts charging again, and you tap, and he backs off, and he charges again, and you tap.
Yeah.
Then he just walks to like, you know, the back door. That's the end result.
Right.
Yeah, you're giving him time to make a decision. People tend to come in guns blazing and stuff like that, and you can escalate things. Okay? There we go. You escalate things. Okay? And so the e-collar is both a teacher and it can teach a dog to do things and it can not do things. Sure. This is fine. Yep. 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 Behavior. Yep. There it is. See that? So, and you see how easy it is?
Yeah.
You were doing the prom, right? How bad was the prom? It's a lot.
I mean, yeah, he was like, tag, you just start going after his leash. After he used it, I never seen, I saw that video of him saying, like how you're expecting you're supposed to redirect.
Right.
It was just more of like, and so, yeah, like now that, the problem is definitely people with that. Like if you start to turn on the leash a lot, and
right, because it's very confrontational.
it's very right. There was no calm end result.
Right. And then here, you're at 30, 40, whatever, and this is going to be a process because you have a special case here. You have ages, like a genetically anxious dog.
Sure.
A lot of dogs may have anxiety. It's usually anxiety through a lack of something, a lack of discipline, a lack of structure, a lack of going to the fence within the home.
Sure.
And some dogs are just born genetically like anxious, like some people are.
Yeah, sure.
So here, it's just learning the nuances of like, how do I keep this guy under control? And it's not so confrontational. We're not having to yank the leash. We're not getting frustrated, because as humans, frustration comes to come out with physicality, right? Everything's here at the press of a button. So this week, your homework, your exercise is just simply going to be this heel. Okay, so we're not saying the word. We're not saying the word heel, but you do have the word break to let them know your job is done. Now you can do your doggy fit. Dogs are better in smaller chunks. Okay, so like if you could do 3, 15, 20-minute walks a day, doing this, that would be ideal. Okay. Remember, as long as he's walking by your side and being good, no need to do your turn stuff. Walking alleviates stress. So any stress that he builds up during the walk because of e-collar is being alleviated at the same time. Okay? That's why heel is such a great exercise, because it helps teach leadership, it helps teach structure, how the pressure comes on and off, helps the dog get rid of any stress that gets pent up. There's a lot of benefits to it. Okay. So you'll be doing the healing exercise during your walks, making sure the heel can break whenever you decide that he's done. Dogs typically, does he know like the path home? Like does he recognize how to like?
Yeah. It seems like it, yeah.
Sure. So what's really common in the beginning is like, let's say you spend 5 minutes walking away from home, and then you try to walk back, is that he's going to pull. Okay, because he's thinking I'm done with this game, and I know home's that way, so I'm going to pull even more because of all the stress.
He doesn't actually do it that bad. Like on the last stretch of the walks. Yeah. No, he usually doesn't.
He might do it with the e-collar because he wants to turn this off, and he's thinking as soon as we get home, this is going to go away. Okay. So what I suggest, if you see that pattern, it doesn't always happen. If you see him forge on the way home, you have to reinforce it with training. So what I'll tell the owner is, go 5 minutes away and give yourself 15 minutes to come back. Because people tend to go like 50, exactly, because you're going to need that time to do those corrections and stuff. Let's say you go out for a walk and you can't keep Doc, like you got to go to work, you got to do something, you're on a time constraint, just come to a stop and then just say the word break. Okay? And he can pull you home for 5 blocks, 10 blocks, a mile, doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly. The problem is when people start to command and then just halfway through give up and let their dog do whatever. And I'll tell them you don't want to do that. Correct, yeah. Dogs are very black and white, so it will have no effect on your obedience because he's, as you said, he's on break time. So I look at obedience as like work. Right now I'm on the clock, I'm working for you, you have no time. I'm not on my phone, I'm not smoking a cigarette, I'm drinking a beer, anything like that. I'm working with you. Afterwards though, I can do whatever I want because I'm on the clock. Same thing for Doc here, okay? When he's on the clock, when you start that exercise, he can't sniff the ground, he can't pee whenever he wants, he can't poop whenever he wants, he can't pull towards anything, he shouldn't care about anything. And when you come to a stop, as best you can, I'm gonna have you calm him down if needed. Yep. And sometimes, because here, since the stimulator is so far away, you have more of a window, and you can create more intensity without power by increasing the rhythm. Okay. So when I went from tap 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 to tap 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 tap, right?
Sometimes that can take place to turn it up.
Exactly. Okay. So depending on the context, if you're walking with Doc and he has a moment and you it's too much to think about. The main thing to do is always just straight up. Okay, straight up, he escalates, straight up, back to up and back, escalate. Okay, What I would suggest, because these snap buckle collars, the one that you have here, a flat buckle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shouldn't put on the palm with the.
You can, but it's you shouldn't need it.
That's just my shoulder pop.
Sure.
Because this thing looks like a top.
Yeah, no, snap buckles do pop. It's happened to me like 5 times in the past few months. Now, once he's trained, it really doesn't. Yep. Yep. So that was about 4. So in the beginning, you know, you may find for him, you'll always have to regulate him to some degree, just because he is such a with the leash pressure and stuff, yeah. Now he's not on any kind of meds or CBD or anything, right?
He is not. No.
Okay. So we're going to see what this does. Okay. Now for me, I'm a very open-minded person. I'm not against drugs and stuff.
Sure.
The problem is that every time I come into cases, the first thing the vet says is put him on drugs, and then the drugs don't do anything. You know, like that's my problem. Yeah. So, but I do get some dogs where the owner will put them on CBD, and it's like it kind of takes off the edge of whatever this didn't accomplish. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I look at it as a bunch of pieces to a puzzle. I'm not opposed to it. It's just I hate relying on one particular thing, especially when, in my experience, it's never actually helped most of the time. Like that dog is like on a bunch of drugs, and he's still.
Which one is that?
He's the 3rd one in. So he's that little back there.
He was down on the alley in hindsight, super sedated.
Sure.
But he's a year, dude, you know, we saw him a couple times before we put out.
Sure. Yeah. Because that's what it is. It's sedation. Yeah. So, but now it's going to be, don't be surprised if you're like, man, I really have to regulate this dog, because that's exactly how it is here. Okay. So like in that video, the first one, the prong collar, where it's like 20 minutes later. Because 20 minutes later, correction,
right.
before we started to create this. Okay. So now with him getting consistent structure and pressure, the goal is that all those things together just starts to taper him down and keep him calmer consistently. Okay. So for the e-collar this week, doing the leash walking exercise at least 3 times a day, 15-20 minutes. Okay. If it's going to be raining later in the night, and it's like, well, I'll do a long 1-hour walk. That's fine as well. Okay. For the fence reactivity, don't have him on a leash. Just put him out with the e-collar. Let him do his thing. 15, 20, 25, 30. You know.
So like, just the hypothetical would be like, I'll let him out. Do you recommend like, you know, when I open the door, let him out back and visit, should I be like, I started kind of making like sit on the deck or let him come down and.
You can. You can. Right now, I would say because it's going to put a lot of stuff on your plate and you're just learning the process. But it wouldn't help the sensory itself. Okay. He has to do the tip. You can see that tail too, how it went up and now it's slowly just unfurling down. Wait a moment. See how it goes up and then it goes down. Then he goes and lays down. Okay. Now the fence reactivity, don't be surprised if it looks like a shit show. Is you don't want him on a leash, just let him out and you stand there and you observe. 15, 20, 25, okay? Until you start to see him back away and then lay off the pressure.
So in that situation, do I want to still come to me or
No. Not go for the fence. Exactly. So we're doing this here because this is a part of the heel. Okay. He's supposed to be at your left side. And I really don't care what side you get. I just care that he's calm. Good. Like that. Okay.
Do you want this kind of defeat, for lack of a better word? Do you want this kind of
Well, I mean, yeah.
He's losing his like started to do it.
Yeah. See what he does. There. Yeah, because it's not healthy for them.
Right.
So the biggest problem is when dogs do anything they want with no, like kids, like I said, like kids. If you don't tell the kid no, and they did everything get where they want, you're raising a problem.
Sure.
Same thing for dogs here. And like him, like if you look at him, he's still alert and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't care that he's looking. I just care that he doesn't start to escalate. Okay. If you ever feel like he's biting at the leash more, you know, it might be too much power. He's getting frustrated. If you feel like I can't figure this out, just stop. You know, remove it. Yep. Wait a moment. Because of the energy. So we're gonna see how the fence reactivity goes. Okay, if it's like, man, it's a shit show, just lay off of it.
Okay.
The reason why I don't want you next to him on the leash when that's going on is redirect aggression. Because he's so pissed off at the fence, and then you're going up and you're like at 100, and he's like, he doesn't go to the closest thing. So it's not making him aggressive. It's just that he's so frustrated that he can't get to what it is that he wants. He's got to redirect that frustration somewhere, and you're the closest thing. Okay? So, very simple, leash walking stuff, keeping them calm when you come to a stop as best you can, and then the fence reactivity if you want to kind of start tackling that. And if for whatever reason something seems off, don't force it, stop, make a mental note of it, send me an email. You know, that's why you have that stuff, so that I can get back to you on it. Or maybe you're making progress with the reactivity, and you want my 2 cents, you can video it as you're doing it, say what you're doing, send me the video, I'll review it, and I'll go like, oh, okay, like it looks like you're close, it just wasn't high enough, or something like that.
Great.
Okay? So we're gonna cue break here.